Apparently there was a huge fire not far from here yesterday, and it's creating some smoke in the sky. You can tell since it has this kind of reddish look to it at times. And what I read today, I thought this was kind of interesting with all that news about how in the US they're potentially going to ban Chinese-made drones, for example. Are companies going to try to switch their manufacturing processes to somewhere elsewhere? That's what it got me to think when I read this. This one says, Google's plan to establish drone manufacturing facility in India lifts domestic industry's expectations. That would be pretty big for them, I would think, since they're doing things like drone delivery with their division Wing. It says a meeting between officials of Google's parent Alphabet and Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin came as a shot in the arm for Indian drone manufacturers. Reports suggest that the tech giant is planning to set up a factory in the southern state to manufacture drones. It's kind of interesting, I guess, in that regard. Some people could see it as a negative. It says the Indian government's efforts to give the industry a boost appear to be bearing fruit. In 2021, the government announced a subsidy of Rs 120 crore under the Production-Linked Incentive Scheme for the manufacturers of drones and their components. Then, in the interim budget 2024 to 25, presented earlier this year, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman increased the outlay for the sector under the PLI scheme to Rs 57 crore from Rs 33 crore the previous year. In 2022, the Union Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakar had said the Indian aims to become a global leader in drone manufacturing, flagging off the Drone Yatra 2.0, an initiative to send drones to villages to apply pesticides to farms. He has said the country would require at least 100,000 drone pilots by 2023. And I guess with that thought, how does a huge player like Google affect, I guess, this when it comes to local businesses and all that? It says the entry of a tech giant is expected to liberalize the ecosystem as such companies accelerate partnerships. Also, it will generate new jobs such as testing pilots, engineers, etc., says Amandeep Panwar, co-founder and director of Agritech from Bharatran, but he adds that the Competition Commission of India and the government should not encourage a monopoly. Well, with a company that big, I think it's just expected that they will dominate, correct? Whereas initially, I suppose a lot of the smaller businesses would have had a huge opportunity to become that leader. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot more countries actually move to places, let's just say they're manufacturing to places like India, just because of all the geopolitical tension between places, for example, like US and China. And then how about this one in terms of, I guess, testing drones? This one says, drone racing tests AI systems for future space missions. Is this one of those stories, for example, where you turn something like a hobby into something very valuable to society per se? It says, drones are being raced at Delft University of Technology's Cyber Zoo to evaluate neural network-based AI control systems for future space missions. The research conducted by ESA's Advanced Concepts team and the Micro Air Vehicle Laboratory of Tudif is detailed in the latest issue of Science Robotics. It says, quote, through a long-term collaboration, we've been looking into the use of trainable neural networks for the autonomous oversight of all kinds of demanding spacecraft maneuvers such as interplanetary transfers, surface landings, and dockings, said Dario Izzo, scientific coordinator of ESA's ACT. In space, every onboard resource must be utilized as efficiently as possible, including propellant, available energy, computing resources, and often time. Such a neural network approach could enable optimal onboard operations, boosting mission autonomy and robustness. But we need a way to test it in the real world ahead of planning actual space missions. And as they say, I suppose that's where things like the drone racing kind of came in. It says that's when we settled on drone racing as the ideal gym environment to test end-to-end neural architectures on real robotic platforms to increase confidence in their future use in space. Drones compete to achieve the best time through a set course within the Cyber Zoo at TU Delft, a 10 by 10 meter test area maintained by the university's Faculty of Aerospace Engineering. Human-steered micro-air vehicle quadcopters alternate with autonomous counterparts using neural networks trained in various ways. The traditional way that spacecraft maneuvers work is that they are planned in detail on the ground, then uploaded to the spacecraft to be carried out, explained ACT Young graduate trainee Sebastian Origer. Essentially, when it comes to mission guidance and control, the guidance part occurs on ground, while the control part is undertaken by the spacecraft. So that's kind of interesting. It is in many ways kind of like one of those things where people use something for, let's just say, fun and hobby all the time, and then afterwards you find there's actual practical use for it in terms of trying to innovate in bigger ways.
Lassen sich einfach gern fotografieren. All right, see you guys later.